Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello everybody, and away we go again. Fair to say that House of Rugby has been making one or two headlines in the last week. We are certainly caught in the firestorm right now. But yeah, it's always been a pleasure to tell people stories, and there's certainly been a reaction to the one that we did earlier this week with Sam Burgess. But the beautiful thing about House of Rugby is there are a lot of stories to tell, and it's a great pleasure to head down under today. We are going back not to Australia, but to New Zealand. And this time it's a chance, I suppose, to perhaps tour the grasslands as we've done in the past, and a chance to catch up with perhaps a little bit more of the grassroots of the game. This is House of Rugby Short, SPORTSJOE by Joe, together with Guinness. Less Hask, less Tins, a little bit more rugby chat as a result. And it's a very warm welcome to Jeremy Drake, who is the captain, and I'll let you do the honours. Your rugby club is?
Wakatipu Rugby Club, based in Queenstown, New Zealand, South Island.
How is House of Rugby combined with, say it again, it's a beautiful name, Wakatipu Rugby Club?
Wakatipu Rugby Club. We have a lot of English and Irish and Welsh and Scottish guys play at the club, and the boys just... I've got a lot into watching the Premiership rugby now, and my wife, she's English as well, so when we come back we try to go down and catch some Chiefs games, and I actually went to the final when the Chiefs beat Wasps. That was awesome as well.
Good on you. There aren't many Kiwis apparently who watch the Premiership, so it's nice to find one that does, and I'm glad that your wife has made you see sense along the way. Before we get into your story and the story of your club, how is life at the moment? How are you getting on?
No, it's good. We're in lockdown level 2 at the moment in New Zealand, so we're allowed to be in groups of 100 people now, so that's us back at rugby training. So we just got to do some contact listing of when the boys come to training. So if anything happens, the government's got some records of who's at training and who isn't.
Okay.
And it's awesome.
We never like to be too political on this show, but it does appear that Jacinda Ardern's had a pretty good rap from not only Kiwis, but around the world as well. I mean, has she been sort of well received in how she's handled everything? Oh,
definitely. I think there was quite a few people that weren't very happy when we went to lockdown level 4, but now we've come through the other side. I think we're at day 12 or 13 without a case in New Zealand now. And I think there's only one active case. So, I think she made the right call, but some people might beg to differ.
Good on you. Yes, probably one or two up here who wouldn't mind a little bit of her wisdom in the process. Tell me how Queenstown is right now. One of my favourite places in New Zealand, famous for the Ferg burger, but you were up last night with a burst water bane or something, Si was telling me?
Yeah, I was just finishing my day's work and I was about to head home, picked up the groceries from the supermarket. The boss rang up and there was a burst water main in the centre of the CBD, so I got home at 5:30 this morning.
Wow. Tell me more. I mean, is the CBD now underwater and people are paddling about, or do you get the job done?
No, we got the job done. It took a wee while to shut the water off, but we got the job done and everyone's happy now.
It's very nice to have you on House of Rugby, and it's nice to know that House of Rugby reaches down to Queenstown. Tell me a little bit about your club, about your role within it, and about how life is, at a club in New Zealand now.
I joined the club in 2006 as a 21-year-old, and I've been here ever since. And I'm now club captain, so it's a wee bit different than club captains back in England. I played in at Columpton and Devon when I was there, but club captain there is more like the captain on the field, but here it's just oversee all the teams and get hundreds of phone calls and emails. It was just all about rugby.
So you're logistics manager as well. What position are you, Jeremy?
I play tight head prop or hooker. I prefer to play hooker, but
Yeah, good man. Good looks to match with the tight head shirt. Tell me more about, I suppose, that role of keeping the club going, and how much time does that take up in the working week relative to the day job?
I probably get a good 5-6 phone calls a day from different people, just like from Otago and from Southland, because we've got 2 men's teams in our club, and we used to be all in the Otago competition, like Central Otago, And our second team, we used to just get walloped all the time, like 100-0, 99-0, but the boys just kept showing up. And then we managed to get Let us go down to the Southland competition, and we started in Division 2 down there, and now we're one below Premier.
Okay, got it. So it's been quite a journey.
Oh yeah, definitely for the Wanderers. Like we used to, when we used to have foreign boys come along, and we used to go up to Mangatoto where Ranfurly is, and the boys hop off the bus, and here's Andrew Hoare just sitting there waiting to play against the boys, and the boys just love it, eh? Like after the games, just go into the club rooms, get some photos taken with an All Black, because you probably don't really see too much of that back in England. When players, you don't really see too many internationals back at the club just playing with the boys.
That is extraordinary. So Andrew Hoare, World Cup winner, All Black legend, pops his boots on and just comes and has a bit of a run around with you guys.
Yeah. We've had Justin Marshall's played for us when he's shifted down to Queenstown. He played.
Was he a 9 or did he move out to 10? I mean, I imagine Marshy sort of likes to run the show. So does he pick his position, or does he get told where to go?
No, he's just one of the boys, really. Just I think he played halfback most of the season.
Amazing.
We've had Scott Cowan play as well. Jimmy Cowan's younger brother.
Yeah,
he comes along. He's a builder.
Do these guys, when they come and play with you, do they sort of show what they got, or do they just sort of slot into the level that you're at? I mean, does Marshall produce bits of magic that took him, all the way to Bledisloe, etc., glory, or is he just happy to trundle around at the pace you guys like playing at?
Oh, he like when he toes up the training and plays on Saturday, the boys kind of just lift to his level, and shows a bit of razzle dazzle sometimes.
A little bit of razzle dazzle. You surprised me with the tints in his hair. And post match as well. I imagine those guys, having been in that elite environment, they absolutely love getting back into that club game again. Is it all about the social and the society and the band of brothers mentality? Yeah,
definitely. Like when I played in England, I noticed some of the teams you play against, they just get changed, hop on the bus and bugger off, don't come into the club rooms. But here, it's just some of the teams we play against travel 2.5, 3 hours just to get to us, and they hang around in the club room until 8, 9 o'clock at night, and then jump back on the coach and away they go.
Unbelievable. Tell me about the fabric of your club. You mentioned about the fact you've got a couple of Brits in the squad and a couple of people from France as well. What is the makeup of your club? Probably
in the Premier team and our top team, in our first team, probably 80% Kiwi, 20% foreigners. And then in our Wanderers team, our second team, it's probably 80% foreigners.
Wow!
So we got guys from Chile, and we've had guys from Denmark come and play, Sweden, you name it, a couple of Germans.
That's unbelievable. And do you find that they come to Queenstown because it's an amazing place to obviously to be, to live, to experience, and they drop anchor there for a bit, or is it a kind of club where if people are passing through and they've got a pair of boots, they can have a game or two?
Yeah, we probably, the boys probably stay around for like one season, and then they're back travelling around New Zealand or away to Australia to have a look. I don't know why they go there for, but
good little knife. Old habits die hard.
Yeah. We've got one Aussie boy at the club. He's been here probably 4 seasons now.
Yeah.
He loves it.
I can imagine. Tell me a bit more about club rugby in New Zealand. There's a brilliant documentary that was made by a couple of guys up here called Beneath the Black, which is all about, and it sort of tells the story of rugby culture in New Zealand and why it matters and why it's so woven into the fabric. But that was a sort of a perspective from people up here on it. As someone who's lived and breathed it and invested so much of your life into it, why is rugby such a big part of New Zealand?
It's just part of the culture, really. Just you go do your job 9 to 5, come to training on Tuesday, Thursday, hang out with the boys, and come along on a Saturday, bring the family down, and just get into it.
Is it as big a part of, as you mentioned, you've been playing for a few years now. Have you seen it maintain its standing in that sort of culture? Have you seen it wane a little bit? Is it growing? Where is rugby on that sort of form graph?
Yeah, it's it probably depends region to region in New Zealand. Like Central Otago is probably one of the biggest growing regions in New Zealand. So there's Cromwell's. Cromwell's probably a 20-minute drive, half an hour drive from Queenstown, and they've got a second premier team in the competition now. And then Upper Clutha is in Wanaka, where I live. It's on the cusp of having a second team this year, but with COVID hitting, it's kind of knocked everything back at the moment. Like at pre-season, at the start of the year, we're getting 60, 70 guys along the training. And then we were really looking at maybe fielding a third team this year, but when COVID hit, it's kind of quite a few of the boys had to go home or go elsewhere because the rent's a bit dear in Queenstown, so the boys probably couldn't handle staying here and not having a job and paying rent.
Okay, got you. And obviously, I mean, fingers crossed, but we'll wait and see on the Women's Rugby World Cup coming to New Zealand as well. And obviously the Black Ferns will be favourite for that. Tell me about, I suppose, the women's game. Is that a part of Wakatipu Rugby Club? Have you seen numbers growing in that regard? Is that something you're trying to move into?
Definitely. Like when I was playing in the UK at Columpton, like that was probably the first club I played for that actually had a ladies team. And when I came back to New Zealand, that was one of my goals to try and get a ladies team together in Central at Wakatipu. And the girls have been running. This would have been their third year this year, but with COVID hitting, we had 6 Canadian girls over here, and they've had to go home. And quite a few of the girls, because they're all in tourism, they've had to go elsewhere. So we're not going to be fielding a ladies team this year, but that's a bit of a disappointment, but something to build on for next year. And sponsors, like they're more keen to sponsor the girls rugby than the boys rugby at the moment. So we've got like 5 brand new sponsors for the girls this year.
Wow, that is good to hear. And hopefully a home World Cup will sort of accelerate that and help you on that journey as well. Just your story, and to pick up on that, how on earth did you end up playing down in Columpton? God's country, obviously, but what was the journey from Wakatipu to Columpton?
Well, I met my wife in Wanaka in New Zealand, and she was from Columpton, and she played there in the ladies team for years. And then we had our first kid, Ashley. She's 7 now, and we decided when she was born we'd go back. Sharon wanted to go back and see her parents, so we spent 8 months there, and I just went up, caught up with met some boys up there and played some footy and helped out with the ladies team, and just had a good time. You
weren't playing at Columpton when Jerry Collins, God rest his soul, turned out for Barnstable. I would love that to have been
I think that was the year before I played there. I played there 2013.
Right. That is an extraordinary story. And it sort of backs up what you're saying about the fact that great All Blacks just love the game and they'll stick a pair of pedals on and trot out wherever they can. I mean, it's a remarkable story, that one. But tell me more about your time in Columpton and I suppose the differences in terms of the culture and the presence of rugby in New Zealand relative to how you found it over here.
Like probably, I showed up on a Thursday night after hopping off a 37-hour flight from New Zealand. The coach picked me up straight up to the rugby club, straight into it. And I found the experience way different to in New Zealand. Like
why?
Just like everything, like the after matches and trainings.
But what is the difference?
In New Zealand, all us forwards are taught to run with the ball and express ourselves. And I found like when I played in Columpton, your role as a forward was just crash the ball up and just do your role, just scrum, line outs, make your tackles. And
this isn't turning into a Kiwi saying that rugby's better in New Zealand, is it? It sort of has that feel to it.
Oh no! I enjoy my time in playing for Columpton, and like if I could have the opportunity again, I'd definitely go back and throw the boots on for the boys. Because I remember my first game, I ended up playing for the seconds. I was supposed to go play for the first, but my paperwork hadn't come through by then. One of my good mates ended up coming out and playing for us. In that first game, I was standing at first 5, and he's like, "Just hit it up." I was like, "Oh, sweet." So I run it up, threw a dummy, and threw the gap and under the post for a try. And everyone's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" It's like you're supposed to crash it up.
A little bit of Jewish from the South Island. I love it. So where are you in your rugby journey? I mean, have you got years and years and you're going to play until they box you up and pop you in the ground? Or, where are you at with the game right now?
I've been told I've become part of the furniture at Wakatipu, but I was going to hang up the boots this year because my son, he's turning 5 and I just want to go and watch him play rugby next year. But with this COVID hitting, we're only going to be having 8 games this season. So my wife's been kind enough to let me play one more season next year because she said I told her my season's been cut short.
Good. I can imagine those the fiercest of contract negotiations. I can imagine. And what about once you have?
I had to get it on video just so she wouldn't come back on her word.
Wise man. Evidence that can be used in a court of law if needed. Tell me, do you want to stay in the game beyond that? I mean, as club captain, it sounds like a fairly all-consuming role that you've got. I mean, is there a role for you beyond that once you're done?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm on the committee, so I like to go down that path and just carry on and see the club grow and go bigger and better.
Yeah,
really.
I was having a little look on Google, and actually you pinged through some incredible images of your club and where it's set. Just for those that haven't seen it, I mean, it's well worth having a little Google of. But just, do you appreciate how scenic your club is?
Oh yeah, we get comments all the time about how good our club is and the location, and like we've hosted Richie McCaw's touch tournament there. We've hosted pre-season Super Rugby games. In 2011 we had the classic All Blacks versus classic French game, and then for 10 years we had the national sevens as well. Wow.
I can imagine. And is that as much for the off the field as the on the field in Queenstown? Sevens has always got a bit of an atmosphere that goes on around it.
Oh yeah. They used to have it the first week after New Year. So that's when everyone was in town, and you'd probably get a good 30,000 odd around our ground, just on the grass embankments.
It's absolutely sensational. I would recommend everyone has a little look at it online, and we'll try and stick some photos into our Facebook group as well. So tell me, is the club very much open for business? We'll have a lot of people who aren't travelling at the moment, but who will be watching this and will think quite fancy a crack at, New Zealand, having a look at life down there, but also I'll take a pair of boots with me. Is it an open door policy at the club, or you've got to get in touch in advance? How do people come and play?
No, definitely just rock up and away you go. I think the biggest issue we have is with our foreign players, they all have to get international transfers done before they're allowed to play in New Zealand. Right. And that can be time consuming because like the time difference in the UK and trying to get paperwork done and trying to get paperwork back, and it's got to go sign off from the club and then the English Rugby Union that gets sent to New Zealand, signed off by Otago, gets sent to the NZRU, signed off from them, just to play a game of footy.
Everybody loves paperwork. I'm sure we're not too far away from an app for that or something, just a little digital card or something.
Every year I complain, I was like, why can't this be like an online form, but you actually got to print it out and the boys have actually got to write on it.
Good.
It's painful, but maybe with this COVID they might change it somehow.
Fingers crossed. There's a business opportunity for you as well, Jeremy. You need to get it sorted before too long. Just to pick up, I suppose, on what a beautiful club you've got, but also just on some of the legends that pass through. To host something like Richie McCaw's rugby event, what does that do for your club?
It puts us on the map, really. Like they live stream those games on the MasterCard website, and then people contacting us on our Instagram and our Twitter and our Facebook page asking if they're allowed to come and play at the club. Or we get a lot of teams from overseas wanting to come and tour and play games against us. So we've played a couple of games against some teams from the States, Argentina. The junior side of things, they get a lot of teams from Australia coming over to play. Yeah, I think everyone just wants to come to Queenstown.
I can't think why. I think one or two members of the House of Rugby crew have enjoyed Queenstown in the past as well. I've got a lovely quote. Yeah, from Marcia here. It says, today's professional player is never exposed to rugby's true spirit, the one that pulses through the clubs of Queenstown and all through our rural heartlands and urban cities. I mean, he puts it really eloquently, really. But, would you encourage, obviously you're encouraging people who are passing through, perhaps at an amateur level. Do you think that today's professional players should invest a bit of time into, and actually it leads on to obviously a very famous name who's reinvesting and has announced he's heading back to the Blues. But would you love to see more professional players come for a bit of a trot once the, I suppose, that professional element of the game has moved beyond them?
Oh, definitely. Like, it's just good club atmosphere. Enjoy your time. The boys aren't too serious. You're not having to get your skin folds taken every day and pump weights. It's just turn up, have a good time, and crack into it, really. Tell
me about Carter going to the Blues. Obviously, as I suppose you're closer to Canterbury than you are to Auckland. Is that stuck a dagger through the heart, or is that actually an amazingly good story for New Zealand rugby?
Oh, definitely. Like, there's a lot of former All Blacks coming back, like Junior Savia, Adi Savia's brother. He's coming back. He wants to play again, and Milner Scudder, he's signed for the Highlanders. Milner Scudder, the club I follow. Yeah, that's good. Like, it just makes New Zealand rugby stronger, I reckon.
It's fascinating to see, isn't it? I wonder whether Carter's got ambitions of having another crack in an All Black jersey, or whether he's just going to trot around for the Blues and help them out a little bit. Tell me how much New Zealand is looking forward to the return of this domestic competition. How much Kiwi rugby fans just need something back on the box that they can enjoy.
Oh, it's painful watching rugby league at the moment. That's the only live sport at the moment on TV. I don't mind it because the Warriors actually won in the weekend, so that's a once in a blue moon. But definitely, like, just for us, even training on Tuesday, how excited the boys are to be back, and how much Super Rugby Aotearoa starts next Friday. So that's going to be good. Like, we got one of the boys. He's born and bred in Queenstown. He's actually in the Highlanders. It's Michael Collins. He played for the Blues last year. He actually came back and played a game for us last season against our rivals Arrowtown, and he actually scored the match. He actually scored the match-winning try for us. He'd been out with the shoulder injury, and it was Easter weekend. It was Arrowtown's Jubilee weekend, and we were the only game in New Zealand that was playing that weekend. And being a former Wakatipu junior, the Arrowtown was happy for him to come along and play, and he actually captains the Otago ITM Cup team as well. So that's a great story, and I just wonder, for someone like you, obviously playing at a good level, when guys like that come back, you mentioned the fact it raises the standards of all those around you, but do you as a player, can you just see the difference in the guys who are that next level up? Oh, definitely. Like how they warm up, how they do their processes before getting out on the field, but then you see the other side of them. They there's not that scrutiny after match to sit down, get your weight done, or you have your protein shakes, and he's just one of the boys at the end of the day. He just sits down, has a beer, has a yarn. He's approachable. That's good. Very
Kiwi. Very, very Kiwi in how you tell the story. It's been a really nice cant around the course, actually. It's been lovely to kind of just, I suppose, get a different perspective on it. We can't leave without a quick reflection on
I've probably got one more story. We had, in our competition, we have a White Horse Cup. It's the second oldest trophy in New Zealand, and we were holding it, and Justin Marshall was playing, and we ended up playing Mangatoto, and Tony Woodcock was playing for them, Andrew Hall was playing for them, Charlie Hora's brother, and there's probably good 4,000 people there, and the boys were down probably 15 points at halftime, and they come back and won by one. But Andrew Hoare and Woodcock just come up to the club rooms. It's just like no one really cared they were there. They were just like part of the crowd, and no one was harassing them and stuff like that for photos. The boys just see them as another bloke that they're playing against, really.
It is a wonderful part of not only Kiwi rugby culture, but just Kiwi culture. There are not too many poppies that grow too much taller than any of the others. It's It's a credit to you, and it's a credit to them, and it's very much part of what makes you, the go-to place. Having said that, the question I was going to ask is just about Yokohama in in October time and that semi-final. We don't need to talk about the final necessarily, but just are you over that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was over it full time. I think the most painful experience I've ever had was when I played at Columpton 2013. The All Blacks lost to England at Twickenham. It was like we went up to club rooms. I was dressed up in all my All Black gears, and I just got a ribbing for the rest of the season. They actually, my nickname at the club was Kiwi. I thought that was really lame, but after that, they just started calling me Aussie all the time. Aussie. I was like, oh, what's happening, Aussie? I was like, oh, no.
That is traditional English banter, and it's very, very worse.
Oh, yeah,
but I guess you guys have dished it out enough over the years, so it's quite nice for you to take it once or twice. Any other business? I mean, it's great to hear that not only your club rugby is back, but also Super Rugby is going to be back before too long. What's next on the to-do list? Have you got another call out to go mop up the CBD again, or is life under control for you?
Hopefully not. I just want to go home and have some sleep.
All right, too. Mate, you deserve it. Jeremy, it's been really nice to chat, and it's lovely to get a window on the world in what is a very, very beautiful part of the world as well. I hope Queenstown stays well, stays safe, and we'll keep a keen eye on Wakatipu Rugby Club and how you fare. Keep us posted.
Definitely give us a follow on the our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and that'd be awesome.
Good stuff. I hope one or two of our dear readers will come and have a game for you before too long.
Oh yeah, definitely. We rely on the tourists at the club.
Good. And I was going to say, actually, quickly, if Hask and Tins are ever passing through, I know that they will be very keen to lace up, strap up, and have a game. And I will. We were talking the other day, actually last week, about grassroots refereeing. So if I ever get my refereeing badge, which is about all I'm good for, I'll come and blow the whistle for you guys as well. And a beer will result in a home favour, I'm sure. Jeremy, really nice to catch up. Look after yourself, look after your club, look after your family, and thank you for your time. Really nice to catch up, and we'll keep a keen eye on how you're getting on.
Yeah, cool. It's been awesome coming on here. I thought when I sent that message, I was like, I'm not going to reply back, and it's been good. Mate,
we're all about the stories around the world, and it's been lovely to tell yours. Ladies and gents, that is it for this week's House of Rugby Shorts. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, we're a podcast and a YouTube show, as you know by now, and that's where you're going to find this week's main episode, a fascinating, a truly revealing warts and all conversation with Sam Burgess, and there's a lot more to watch and listen if you haven't already than what you've read in your morning newspaper, so do dial into that. Don't forget as well, you can dip into our entire back catalogue, which is available on both mediums. We've got a very popular Facebook group. There's our Instagram page at RugbyJoe, and you can download the new interview podcast series Sports Pages as well, which is available from iTunes on your podcast app. Jeremy, thanks so much once again. We'll keep in touch. We'll keep a keen eye on how you're faring. We'll be back next Wednesday when we greet the return of Tins alongside a true legend of the English game. Cannot wait for that one. Look after yourselves until then. But from all of us, it's bye for now.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.